Hi, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Magic Hour. I'm your host, Majid and Dairy, aka Magic Leb. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Majid and Dairy and on my Instagram at Fame Film Agency. Today we have another comedic guest known as Scotty The Body. How you doing, Scotty?
Yeah, I'm alive.
That's
Doing pretty well.
That's something. I always wanted to ask you, how did you get that name, Scotty The Body?
Well, I was involved in wrestling for a few years training. Admittedly, not very hard. And I was a big wrestling fan throughout my teen years. And there's a wrestler in the US named Raven who worked for WCW and WWF and ECW. And his original ring name was Scotty The Body. And
Okay.
I stole that for my Twitter handle because I used to listen to his podcast a lot. And then when I was signing up to do my first open mic, I thought, I'll just call myself Scotty The Body. It looks better on a poster than Scott Burton.
Okay, no, that's cool. All right, so you adapted that from a wrestler. Cool. All right, so I guess the first question I want to ask you after the Scotty The Body question, no, that was just my own personal curiosity. Like, what made you first get into comedy?
Well, I always loved watching, stand-up performances on TV as a kid, and I always thought that there was a potentiality for me to do that. And then when I got to around, 14, 15, 16, all my school teachers basically told me, you're not funny, you're never going to succeed in anything, just fucking give up and get a proper job.
Teachers said that to you?
Yeah.
Aren't they supposed to tell you the exact opposite of that? As
No.
teachers? And then they're supposed to be encouraging and saying
No,
you
that's
can
bullshit. Where'd you hear that?
No.
Okay.
It's not about whether you hear that. It's just that you would think, well, teachers, okay, teachers can be brutally honest if they want it to be, but that's just cruel. You're not going to amount to nothing. That's just like, that's just uncalled for. I mean, like, I've heard teachers say things like, be realistic in what it is that you want to become, but they don't ever say things like to you, give up, you're not going to make it. I mean,
I think the you're not
cruel.
funny thing was the thing that fucking crushed me the most. So, Mr. Harrison, if you're listening, go fuck yourself.
Say that again, but to the mic.
Mr. Harrison, if you're listening, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So that's cruel. I don't think they're very good teachers now, do they? Anyway, do you remember your first set?
I do. It was just after the Fringe in 2024.
Okay.
It was the first Laugh Lab back after they'd been shut down for like a week or two following the Fringe. And I went up and I did what has now become, I'd say, somewhat infamous in the Adelaide comedy scene, my coon cheese bit, which is basically it's a bit about how, we had 4 years of division and protests regarding all of the race relations issues in this country, especially with Indigenous people. And all that happened is we changed the name of a cheese.
The coon thing. Yeah, I used to love coon cheese. I don't know if I'm even allowed to say that anymore. Okay, so you've been in comedy for quite recently.
Yeah,
Like
about a year.
About a year now. All right.
And I've had the past 3-4 months off. So
okay, so when was the moment in your life where you said to yourself, you know what, this is what I want to do for real?
Well, again, I always had it in the back of my mind growing up, and then when I was in my teen years.
But what was it that pushed you to want to do your first set?
Yeah, so the push would have been during that Fringe, I was working with Brendan Burns, who, when I was a teenager, he was like my favourite comic. I saw him on the same pantheon as like a George Carlin or a Lenny Bruce. Now I know he's just a dude, which is cool because now we're just mates.
Yeah.
Somewhat, like working with him and, interjecting my own things while we're running through the show and, making him laugh at sometimes even his own old jokes that he couldn't remember. I thought, maybe there's something in this. Maybe I do have some potential.
Okay, so I can cross out my next question of who were your biggest comedic influences.
Oh, I'd have to say Brendan. And I'd have to say the Doug Anthony All-Stars, a huge one for me as well. I met them when I was just nearly 14. They did their reunion tour across Australia. And we had a school project where we had to make coasters, and I made coasters with the Doug Anthony All-Stars logo, gave one each to them and kept one for myself.
Okay.
So that got me mentioned on like ABC radio in passing and sort of thing. Who else is another one? Rick Mail and Adrian Evanson. I was a huge Young Ones fan as a kid, huge Bottom fan.
The Young Ones. What a great show.
Loved all that shit. Ross Noble I was a big fan of as well. I don't quite have the improvisational knack that he does, obviously. But I was another, big fan of his. Used to watch his DVDs all the time, try and study his way of interacting with the crowd. Obviously, I've had, wrestlers have thrown out lines or their general persona has given me some sort of influence, especially I'd say Jim Cornette is probably the one wrestling figure that I'm influenced most by in my comedy specifically.
So was wrestling a good way to help you deal with the crowd or get on stage? Because
I wouldn't know. I never even got to a match.
Oh, really? Because so you never wrestle kind of thing?
No, I just trained.
Oh, okay. So when you do a show, how do you prepare for your set? When you do your comedy, do you write everything down, try to remember it word for word, or do you just write down the certain topics that you know you want to talk about, and then you kind of just make it loose?
I'll write bullet points and I'll usually say, I've got X amount of days till this set, so I'll try and spend that long stringing it together. And then I'll either do it the morning of the show or I'll do it out the back having a cigarette before I go on stage trying to string all my fucking jokes together.
So you have a little rehearsal kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's pretty cool.
But I'm generally very loose when it comes to performing a joke the same way twice.
Yeah. No, okay, cool. Because I always try my best to go over the lines over and over again, like as if I'm going to be acting in the play. You know what I mean? Just to know it all, so that so that my timing is right, everything is spot on. And 9 times out of 10, I always forget 1 or 2 jokes that I've rehearsed so much. But when you get on stage, you kind of forget 1 or 2 things that you really wanted to say. Here's a question that I ask all comedians, because this is how a comedian busts their cherry in comedy, so to speak. Have you ever bombed on stage?
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
Okay, so you're a slut.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, now that's fine. How do you recover when that happens?
Well, the odd occasion of bombing on stage, that just could be chalked up to bad night. New jokes, conversely ones you haven't done in a while that you can't remember as well. Once it's a successive string, then I usually look at myself and I go, okay, what am I doing wrong? Heinous jokes that are not suitable for any sort of public forum. That'll be what I'm doing wrong. And then I change shit up, get back on, and I'm usually fine.
Okay. Do you feel, not just from a comedian's point of view, but as your own personal point of view, do you feel that comedy, particularly in stand-up, has changed drastically over the last 10, 20 years, in the sense that so many people have become so easily offended, so sensitive?
I wouldn't say drastically. If you look for it, there's still dark humour that goes around. There's still, lots of fucked up jokes going around, and there's still comedians who make a living at it. But conversely now, a lot of the ones that do it look at it with a more intelligent thing of going, okay, you can't make this joke unless it's in this sort of way, or else people get upset or whatever. And, and there's some things that really, I wouldn't say should have been banished from the pantheon of comedic conversation, but I wouldn't say that stand-up comedy now is overall worse than it was 10, 20 years ago. And I don't foresee that it's going to be, this woke bullshit, which, again, not a real fucking word. It's just something people throw around to get angry at each other. I don't see, the whole political correctness thing dominating, and there will be a period where it shifts and dark comedy takes the stage for a few years, and then it'll shift again and again. It comes in cycles and it goes in cycles.
Okay, no, that's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point, because I always feel that a lot of people just are looking for things to complain about, whether it's a set, there's one particular comedian, female comedian, I'm not going to say her name, but I think you're going to know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right. She does a lot of jokes about transgender stuff, and she gets a commentating beating on her social media, you shouldn't say this, how dare you, or that, or whatever. But her stuff is funny.
It's Isaac Compton. Fucking talk about complete cunt he is. He sent a message to his fucking Minions Instagram chat saying, "Oh, let's try and get Biddy's Australia Day show cancelled." Put out a public post saying, "I'll pay everyone $100, or pay someone $100 if they give me the name of the venue where this show is taking place." I sent him a message. Okay, yes, I was hosting the show, but I sent him a message with my pay ID and said, "If you pay up, I'll give you the fucking deets."
Oh, no.
And then it comes out now he's been fucking caught under fire for, what do you call it? Sexual misconduct. So it's like, it's always the people that are the loudest voices against certain things that have something to hide.
Of course. But, you know, to have some nerve to offer people money to find out information to close a show. I mean, you know, he does understand that you have a choice not to go. You have a choice just to ignore it and let people who do enjoy it. You know, it's like saying, it's how different is it? Like, I'm not a big AFL fan. All right. So if somebody wants to go and watch the AFL, I'm not going to say, "Hey man, I'll pay $100 not to go watch a stupid game or whatever." Go enjoy yourself. You know what I mean? I don't have to be there because I'm not a big fan. I'm not going to enjoy myself, but I'll probably enjoy the atmosphere or whatever. But I'm just saying that, like, how different is it to say, "Tell me where this venue is so I can close it down and I'll pay people not to go," than to tell somebody else to pay them not to go to a football game or something that they enjoy. You know, it's just like, why create trouble when there is none? That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand the point of that at all. Well, anyway, fuck him.
Yes, indeed, fuck him.
Fuck him. Everybody has the right to say what they want to say, perform how they want to perform. And if people like it, they do. And if they don't, then they're responsible for that negative feedback. You know, they only have themselves to blame, and they only have themselves if they succeed. Anyway, what's the biggest gig that made you stand out?
Oh, fucking good question. I'd probably say opening for Biddy O'Loughlin when she was doing her run. I think the first show, before it was called Funny Girl Sad Songs, the first one that she did at the Duke, that was the moment where I felt like, yeah, okay, there might be something in this. Because, you know, I was doing, at the time, my longest set, 10 minutes. I was de facto host of the show. And, you know, things went pretty smoothly. I'm pretty sure we sold that one out. So that was the moment where I thought, yep, okay, I can call myself a comedian now.
Was this back in 24?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And, I mean, you know, various paid gigs as well has helped. I say various, like it's, you know, hundreds, but it's only like, I can count them on my hands.
Yeah.
But still, you know, extra money in my pocket.
Do you find when you do comedy, do you find it therapeutic in a way? Do you feel like good about yourself when you're done, or do you feel worse? Or like, what's the feeling you get after you've done a set and you were successful in that set, people laughed and they enjoyed your work?
Usually straight as I get off stage, the thought in my head is, I'm just nitpicking what I did wrong during that set, whether I forgot this joke, whether I told it wrong, whether I this, that, or the other, where I'm, you know, made a fool of myself by falling over or something. That's the first thing. And then I'll usually go out and I'll have a cigarette and, you know, I'll be hearing what people's perception to the set was that aren't me and that aren't constantly critical. You know, people actually enjoying it, telling me, "Oh, that's a brilliant joke." Rah, rah, rah. I know I'm blowing smoke up my own ass here, but
if it's funny, it's funny.
After that, I'll be on a high for usually until the early hours of the morning.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah.
Whether literal or figurative.
Yeah. Oh, no, you know, I always found comedy, to honestly, I just found it the most, I said to myself, it's cheaper than therapy, you know, because a lot of people that get into comedy, they've gone through some kind of trauma in their lives, or they've gone through, you know how they say when it rains it pours. You know, they've been just having the shittiest time in their lives, and they've lost so much, and said, you know what, fuck it. You know, I failed at something that I thought I was going to succeed in. I failed at doing something that I didn't like to do. Why not try to succeed in something that I've always wanted to do. If I can fail at something so simple, I'd rather fail at something that I really want than to fail for something that I really don't want.
Yeah.
You know? And I think Jim Carrey said something on the lines of that. He was talking about how his father was I think it was janitor or something, and he lost his job. And he said to his son, I failed at something at something easy to take care of my family. And that got out of my hand. That slipped through my fingers. Well, go after something that you really want. Don't go after something that you don't want. And that's how Jim became Jim, I guess. Wow. So, what advice would you give to a comedian that wants to start up? Who wants to become a comedian? Like, what would the advice would you want to give that person?
Don't. No. In all seriousness, just get off your ass and do it. There is no time like the present. Sometimes I wish I had have started doing stand-up in high school, and maybe by now I'd be actually good instead of reasonably okay. But at the same time, the only way you're going to find out if you can get made or if you can make it yourself is just get out there and do it.
Have you performed anywhere else besides Adelaide?
I did a couple gigs in Sydney when I was over there for my mate's wedding last year. Other than that, no.
No?
I may be performing again in Sydney early next year because I'm going over for AEW. But that's, again, just a personal thing, a personal trip, not a actual thing.
This is embarrassing. What is AEW?
All Elite Wrestling. It's an American company doing TV taping in Sydney and then a house show in Brisbane.
Oh, sweet. So once upon a time, you used to body slam people, right?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I wonder how that felt like.
It fucking hurt. That's why I walked with a stick. And I wasn't very good at it anyway.
Really?
So.
Oh, no. Why do you feel... I know we discussed partly this topic, but why do you feel people have put certain boundaries on comedy?
Well, I can understand at some point where boundaries are placed. I can understand people wanting to tone in racist, sexist, homophobic jokes. However, some of them are just fucking funny.
Well, yeah, no, I'm
and
sure...
that's the thing is...
It depends on how you tell it.
What matters is context, exactly. It matters how you tell it. It matters, the context it's being portrayed. And it's like one of my favourite sitcoms is a show from the 70s called Love Thy Neighbour. It's about this Englishman who's a very, very outspoken racist who gets new neighbours, and his new neighbours are a black couple. And hilarity ensues all the time. There's some misunderstanding. One of the recent episodes I watched, the black guy and the white guy were actually handcuffed together for 6 hours. And at the end of the show, as the black guy's handcuffs come off and they're about to take the white guy's off, the white guy says, "If I had my way, we'd have kept slavery for another 100 years." And the black guy takes his handcuffs and chains him to the pool table and everyone leaves the pub.
Lesson learned.
So it's I still think you could tell jokes like that today with the payoff that one had. And, you can still do risque material. You've just got to find your audience and you've just got to have the right context. But as to why there are more harsher social boundaries, I think that's just progression and changing of the times. And, it's always comes in swings and roundabouts. It always comes in phases.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Billy Bragg released a cover of Bob Dylan's The Times They Are A-Changing.
Yeah.
Shortly after Donald Trump got elected, and it was called The Times They Are A-Changing Back. Which, is one way to look at it.
No, I agree. I mean, because, you can't just get up there and just say something offensive without anything linking to it, without a punchline, without a scenario, without a story. Otherwise it's just like a brand insult. It's like you're roasting the crowd for no particular reason, just for the sake of doing it. Eddie Murphy, if in Raw, he was talking about how Bill Cosby saw his act, and how he was telling him, stop cursing or whatever, and how Eddie Murphy got pissed off, and he goes, "I got mad." because he thought that's my whole act, that I just got up on the stage and cursed and left, But I did put some jokes in between the curses. You could have given some curse show. So, I mean, so he kind of like really hit the nail on the head.
And now, 40 years later, how do people look at Eddie Murphy and how do people look at Bill Cosby?
Even Eddie Murphy, when he was accepting his Mark Twain Award, I think, and he goes, "Who's America's best dad now?" It's kind of funny. Like, of all people, knowing now what we know about Cosby, of all people to actually give that kind of a critique to somebody who's so already, been successful for so long and who's gotten a new generation of fans. I mean, I felt like he was more putting him down than he was being encouraging. And Richard Pryor, one of Richard Pryor's wife, you very well with Richard. One of Richard Pryor's wife said, Richard Pryor is not ugly on the outside, but he is like on the outside he can be abusive. He can be derogatory and insulting, whatever, on the outside. But on the inside, he's nothing but a lump of sugar. Bill Cosby is the opposite. Bill Cosby will show you that sweet side, but inside is a perverted bastard. You know what I mean? And nobody ever believed her. And Pryor never really respected Cosby. He said it himself. He goes, I never wanted to work with the man, and I'm glad I never did. And that was said back in the early 80s, and then when you see what's been going on, it's like, damn, we should have listened to Richard and his wife. Well, one of his wives. His guy got married so many times. So growing up, you've mentioned some Aussie comedians that you've liked, and the Young Ones, the show, a great show. Do you like anybody from America, past or present?
Oh, well, I mean, I've seen a lot of the great American comics like Bill Hicks, Eddie Murphy, as we mentioned.
Hicks.
Bill Burr, but particularly because my dad's English, I've always had that sort of sensibility around humour, and I've never been as big a fan of American TV or American stand-ups as I have of British TV and British stand-ups.
Did you ever watch Benny Hill growing up?
Oh, yeah. I fucking love Benny Hill. I used to go to the strip club and fucking do Benny Hill bits with the girls.
Did you tap pull people on the head with that door? No. Benny Hill was, I think, it was a massive influence as a kid growing up. I think he was our chaplain, but for sound,
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, I mean, they were both British. They were both Brits. But Benny Hill, he dominated the 70s television, in comedy, and and even though Americans don't get British humor, I mean, if you don't have to be American to freaking find something like that,
and because a lot of it was
funny,
like mime comedy, because he came from the clowning world. A lot of Americans, that's their main, that or Python is their main cultural reference point when it comes to British comedy, just because it had universal appeal. I mean, not so much now. There's some of the bits that people look at and they go, oh, that's horrific and misogynistic, and yeah, maybe.
Did you like the Monty Python?
Oh, I love Python, yeah. Life of Brian is one of my favourite films.
Just saying that title makes me laugh. It just makes me, you know who was inspired by the Monty Python? They've said it many times. The creators of South Park.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
You always want to know how people like that get the inspiration to do comedy, and the fact that these two American raised were inspired by a British invention in comedy to make them do what they do, which you see a lot of their inspiration and their love for the Monty Python in an episode where they did all about Pip, the British character, they did like a Great Expectations parody, and some of the voices they were mimicking was from the Monty Python, and like I just couldn't. I was in awe. I was laughing my head off, and I was like remembering Monty Python while I was watching this episode. It was like freaking classic how they brought the two together. Well, I guess the real joke of this of the decade again is: have you been watching any of the recent episodes of South Park?
I've seen the first 3.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been keeping up. I honestly thought they were going to make Garrison go back as president, like mimicking Trump and not actually using Trump's face. So
yeah, like having the Saddam Hussein character.
Yeah.
reimagined as Donald Trump, I think is perfect for the current American political climate and also fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I always say, whenever I see something that America says or does, I made a comment one time saying, see, this is the perfect reason why I don't need cable television. Who the hell needs cable when you got comedy right in front of you constantly? Watching American news is comedy enough with what's going on. But I'm trying. Let's not get too political right now. So, what would you say was your favorite sitcom growing up?
Probably Red Dwarf.
Nice. I was going to say Blackadder. I thought you were more of a Blackadder person.
I mean, Blackadder's one in my top 3 along with the young ones, but I used to have the DVDs of like the first 10 series because this is before the last 2 or 3 came out when I grew up, and I used to just watch them ad nauseum until I had scratches in the disc. Okay. And like even now when I go back and watch an episode, I can usually still recite half the lines by myself.
Oh yeah. I used to do that. I used to watch something enough times to be able to memorize it. I mean, I used to, in the 7th grade, I was performing Delirious and Raw during recess and lunch, knowing it word for word. All right, here's a question that I like that I've concocted that I think you might like. If you can do a comedy set for any audience in history, which time period would you choose? Yeah, it's a thinker.
It is. Because I don't know whether I want to be adored by a certain crowd or whether I want to, start a riot.
Well, I think I said this
just
on my
for
last
the sake
podcast.
of argument, I'll say Belfast 1972 in the middle of the Troubles.
Okay, there you go. I said yesterday after Hitler gave his big speech. I think that'd be a good time to do, just to lighten things up a little bit after that, All right, finish the following sentence for me, Scotty. Comedy is
a fucking hard slog.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. What is the one thing, after this podcast, what is the one thing that you would like the audience to remember from this conversation that you and I are having right now?
That I made you laugh.
Inshallah. I'm sure that you would have. Okay, now here's I'm putting the pad and pen down. I'm about to ask you a series of 10 questions. Now, these 10 questions were asked by an American writer-actor named James Lipton. Have you ever heard of him?
The guy from Inside the Actors Studio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who was also inspired by a French journalist named Bernard Pivot, if I'm saying that correct. I'm sure the T is silent. And he would always ask these 10 questions when he's concluding his interviews. And I would like to adopt that method and use it on you, Scotty.
All right.
All right. What is your favorite word?
Cunt.
That's with a U, by the way, just in case. It's not how you cannot do something in English.
Yeah, right. Word, not contraction. I'll say it louder into the mic. Cunt.
All right. What is your least favorite word?
Oh, fucking. That's a tough one. Here's a joke you probably can't tell anymore.
No, you can. I hate that saying, you can't tell it anymore. The fuck you can't.
I always get a bit annoyed when someone says no.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Squelch is a fucking disgusting sounding word.
Squelch.
Yeah, let's go with squelch.
Okay. Sounds like when you dip your spoon in a tub of mayonnaise and you hear that sound. Okay, gotcha.
Or when you're walking around with wet socks on.
Okay. That's a bad feeling.
A lot of onomatopoeic words.
Mm. Okay, on a
rattle something in me.
On a creativity, or spiritually or emotional level, what turns you on?
Creatively, I always love it when, and I'm sure a lot of comedians do this, but when I'm, just cooking dinner or something, I'll start half thinking of a bit, and I'll start saying it. And that rush when you realise, okay, there's an actual joke worth writing down here, is always a real turn on. What was the second category?
Oh no, you don't have. No, it's just one of the.
No.
I was just saying either creatively, spiritually, or emotionally. It wasn't. You didn't have to answer for all three. Just like what gets you the most, that turns you on. Okay, so what turns you off, Scotty?
Again, people saying no.
Oh, that's fine.
No, I don't know. Like, I'm a kinky fucker, so there's not a lot that does turn me off. But I guess bodily fluids would be kind of disgusting.
Well, there you go. Okay, not everything had to be sexual.
No, I thought that's what you meant.
No. But it can. But it can be. If that's your answer, it can be. You could say boobies. It doesn't matter.
Do I have another answer? I guess censorship of comedy. For any other reason than it not being funny.
Okay. What is your favorite curse word?
I've already said cunt.
Okay, that was your favorite word and favorite curse word. Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
There's a million classic guitarists I could point to, but let's just say the screech of an E chord for now.
Okay. Nice answer. What sound or noise do you hate?
You know when you're listening to rap music and they'll have beats that just sound like they've remixed the sound of a fucking cordless drill?
Okay.
It's like, the most recent example I can point to of a song I can actually listen to is Kneecap Sayonara, where the riff of it sounds, again, like a remix of a cordless drill. That shit is probably the one sound that when I hear it, it just fucking grinds my gears.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I'm on the dole at the minute, so... No, I'd like to write for any sort of institution, like maybe TV or maybe,
Okay.
writing a column in a newspaper one day. That'd be a cool job. And probably one of the only jobs that I could see myself doing with my my limited capabilities as is.
Okay. So what profession would you not like to do?
Being a teacher would suck.
At being a teacher? Is that what you said?
I mean, I'd be a shitty teacher because
yeah.
I'm quite intelligent. And as this old saying goes, if you can't do, teach. But it's also, I hate children.
Okay.
Whenever I'm in the shops and I hear someone else's child crying, I just completely empathise with why my mother beat me.
There's beating, but there's discipline and there's beating.
Oh, no, it was beating. No discipline involved. Just doing it for the sake of it.
Okay. Final question out of the 10. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Come in.
Well,
something simple as that. Again, I'm a sinner. I believe that all humans have the inherent capability and capacity to sin. And I'm slowly but surely working on being a better person, being, somewhat of a good Christian. I'll admit I'm not a very good one right now. I don't even read the Bible very often, but...
how many Christians don't read the Bible? There's many,
Yeah, but a lot of them probably also aren't getting to heaven. Like, it's not guaranteed.
Well, nothing truly is guaranteed, I mean...
If I get to the pearly gates, what I'd like God to say is just come in, good job, sort of thing.
Well, you do realize that if those who don't read the Bible doesn't mean they're guaranteed hell,
it's mainly about how you live.
Exactly right, same with any other religion, for that matter.
But I don't believe in any of that fake shit. Just good old-fashioned Roman Catholicism for me.
Keep it all white, All right. Well,
Catholics are the real chosen people.
Oh, snap. Did you hear that, Jays? I'm calling you Jays because if I said the other way accent, then you know exactly what I'm talking about and I can get cancelled. Yes, so yes, Jays, something for you to think about. And the Moseys, and I'm not going to say that as well, just keep doing what you're doing. Scotty, thanks for coming to the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you found it interesting.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, anytime. And you can always come back as a repeated guest should anything happen in your life. If you read the Bible, or if you got your own comedy special, or if you pissed somebody else off and you want to rub it in their faces over here, you're more than welcome to come and express yourself.
Next time I end up smacking a cunt, I'll be right back here.
All right, see? Okay. Thanks, Scotty. And please, thanks for joining me on another episode of The Magic Hour. Please be sure to subscribe to my Instagram at Fame Film Agency and on my YouTube at Magic and Dairy. And also check out Scotty The Body's Instagram. That's right there where I'm pointing. And until next time, guys, take care.
Peace.
I'm broke, bitch.